all of these things just kind of showed up, and we didn't really know why or what was going on, but it all began to kind of add up and make sense that, okay, this is not, we're being exposed to something. Our vegetables and plants began to be affected. Our citrus started getting these black, dark pock marks on it. And, so everything that was healthy and what we lived on before became toxic. The air became toxic. So the symptoms were gradual, because it took a while for the oil to even get to us, and the fumes, and then the dispersant began, the spraying of it and the dumping of it in the water. I do have one experience. We had moved off the Gulf, and I was finishing up my master's at the time, and I just was really hesitant to stop doing that and move somewhere. And so I was finishing that up and wondering what in the heck, do we stay here, do we go, why isn't anyone talking about it? I ran into an air monitoring system, and I started looking at it, taking pictures, and I have that somewhere, and I realized nothing was active. There were these installations of fences around these devices, but they weren't turned on. They weren't monitoring anything. So the Environmental Protection Agency, to me, began to be something that I certainly didn't trust, or even I began to distrust that. So as Linus mentioned, he had blood tests done. Those were done and offered for free for hundreds of people, and those results were presented to the president of EPA, and that was also filmed, and nothing was done with that information. So everyone was showing symptoms of being contaminated by just the fumes from the oil, the MP-xylene and ethylbenzene, I think it is, and then these symptoms were occurring. The skin lesions when they swam, the redness and kind of burns, and then obviously the skin being affected by just the airborne stuff, and then also the memory and cognitive ability. It's proven to cause neurological damage. That's why it's banned. So the idea that was being dumped right in front of us in the water began to have its effect. And I remember one night as I was walking, we had a little Pekingese dog that we rescued. She was actually blind, so I had to kind of tell her which way, easy watch it, to keep her close. And she was doing her business, and I looked up, and the stars were beautiful, and the bay was out in front of me. The kids could ride their bikes, and we knew everybody in the neighborhood, and I was thinking, do I really have to leave here? Is something really wrong with me? Why isn't anyone talking about what's going on? And right at that moment, this pocket of warm air hit me, and I immediately covered my nose, and I didn't know what it was. It felt like if you stood next to a dryer vent, that heat that comes out. But I was in my front yard. There was no dryer there. It was the middle of the night. And I immediately went inside and I Googled hot air pocket. And that was how the Corexit traveled. It traveled in warm pockets of air. And I remembered the guys that were hired to clean up the stuff on the beach, wearing these suits in the 100-degree weather on the beach. Yeah, suits with gas masks and all that. Digging this stuff up and putting it in these bags, only to be found in the dumpsters. They weren't doing away with it in any particular way. They were just moving it and dumping it to be taken to the landfill. But anyway, my dog coughed. We went inside. She died the next day. So we very shortly thereafter moved. We left it. And I left everything. We had nothing. We had no help from BP or anybody else. But I was not going to wait until I lost one of my children.